All right, where are my notes here? Great. Well, hey, everyone, welcome to the Band of Angels, our LA SIG meeting this evening. My name is Garrett Gilbertson. I am the chair for the LA portion of the Band of Angels, and I'm also the founder and managing partner of Some Ventures. I'll give you guys just a real quick background on me and on the Band of Angels and how we launched this LA group. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about some of our founders that we have that are coming up next month and give them a chance to introduce themselves. And then we're really going to just dive into the presentations.
Oh, no, I'm on the meeting.
We've got a good group. If we can, everybody, just for now, if we can go ahead and just mute, that'd be helpful. So, all right. So yeah, just quickly, the Band of Angels, for those of you who may not know, is actually the first angel investing group based out of Silicon Valley, founded about, gosh, almost 30 years ago now. I think it's 20 or 29 years ago. And over the band's history, there have been about 100 exits. I think it's 21 IPOs and something like 77 or 78 acquisitions. So I've been a very active group of angel investors. And I was lucky enough to join the group as the youngest member about 6 years ago now. And after a couple of years of investing, we're speaking with Sonia, the director, and we had the idea to launch the satellite group down in LA to sort of connect Northern and Southern California and make sure we were bringing up great deal flow that we were seeing down south and getting our investors access to that deal flow. So for the past few years, I've been hosting this meeting. We used to do it in person. We're now doing it on Zoom. We'll probably move to a hybrid event here in the not too distant future. And it's just been a lot of fun because, the way I look at early stage investing is it's like a team sport. And what, the more great minds we can have on these calls, the more amazing founders we're going to attract. And it just ends up turning into a flywheel. And that's what we've really seen over the past few years is we've seen just this awesome, just sort of referral network of founders coming in through either other founders or through other investors that have participated in these calls. I would say that that's one of the things that makes this group a little bit unusual, unlike some of the other band SIGs, is that I'll invite non-band members to join us because we really want to create that sort of collaborative environment. However, if you are interested in joining the Angel Group, then happy to introduce you to Sonia Markova or Ian, and they handle all of the membership, and it's a fun group to be a part of there. So let's see, what did I miss? Over the past few years, just to highlight some of our success stories, I guess. We're lucky enough to be among the first investors, and in some cases the first investors in companies like DressX, Unest, Automotus, Prius, Irrigreen, Links Bio, recently Perlin, Move Easy. And if you were to, I went ahead and added it all up over the past few years, our portfolio just from our group down in LA has raised over $300 million after we've invested. And we've seen some great progress and some great traction, and excited about the companies that are presenting tonight because we're going to get a chance to build upon that. So I really want to just take a moment and we got a lot of people on the call tonight, especially the band members like Bill and Frank and Joan and other members from other angel groups. Like I see Millicent from Park City and Kevin from Pasadena Angels. And I mean, we just have a great cross-section of investors from around the country. Asher, thank you for joining. John, I'm going to try and do my best throughout the course of the evening to take a little break in the action and give other folks, other investors a chance to talk. But it looks like the one change from our program is that rather than having 5 presenting companies, we're only going to have 4, which will actually really give us an opportunity at the end to have a little bit more of a discussion and have the investors get a chance to introduce themselves to each other. And I also invite you to use the chat. Feel free, connect with each other. The whole goal here is for this to be, a value add for everyone. So with that, one of the things that really like to do as a, both as an angel investor and now as a fund manager, is the goal here is to start building relationships early with founders and be able to add value. So with that in mind, while we don't always, we like to sometimes bring in companies that might be more of a pre-seed stage, maybe a little bit earlier, so especially with very promising founders, and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves, give them an opportunity to share what they're working on. And then in some cases, we'll bring them back and allow them to give an update so that we can then get them ready to give a presentation the following months. So one of the individuals who's on with us, oh my goodness, wow, sorry about that, guys. Hunter, I'm gonna have to, after our first presentation, I'm gonna have to make sure that you're running this. We got a good turnout tonight. One of the first founders I'm gonna introduce for just a brief update is actually Justin Schwartz. And now I know you remember Justin, Bill, but and I think if Mark Blinsky, if he's on, and a few others probably remember Justin from over a year ago. But Justin actually founded a Christmas house and Halloween house. And I'll let Justin share a little bit of an update here in a second, but I just want to brag on him for a second because Justin is the consummate entrepreneur who had this vision for making more family-friendly event spaces around the holidays, and really has not taken no for an answer. And even though he's really not raised a whole lot of outside capital, it has had incredible traction, incredible growth over the past couple of years. So Justin, if you want to just provide a quick couple-minute update, and then, we'll look forward to having you back in the next month or so to give a longer form presentation.
All right, definitely. Thank you so much, Garrett. And your eyes are piercing over this, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I just want everyone else to know that as well. I'm sure they're distracted by them too. So since last year, we went from one location, which had just Halloween house and Christmas house, to this year we had 12 attractions. We had 7 locations for Halloween. We had 5 for Christmas. We hired the senior vice president of HBO, Michael Desart, who is now the president of the company. I'm still with us as CEO and founder, but he helped us in a big way grow as quickly and as smoothly as we were able to. We sold over 70,000 tickets, which is enough to fill SoFi Stadium, if you want a nice visual for that. We had over 100,000 attendees because we do not charge for kids under 3, which essentially means under 5, because if your kid's 4, you're not going to be that honest. And we also give away hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tickets to those who are needy, everything you could think of. We had revenue of $2 million in the 9 weeks that we were open, which wasn't so bad. We also were able to staff over 100 employees and had customer satisfaction, thanks to our exit polling, over 90%. So not only did we staff all these places, but smooth ship when they were staffed and running. We figured out how to scale, build, staff, manage all of these places, market them. We had a ton of press all over the place, and we had over 100 million social media impressions. So, and yeah, within the first 3 weeks, we were profitable at 6 of our 7 Halloween locations and 4 of our 5 Christmas locations. So that's how we did last season. And this year we're, sorry?
No, go ahead, Justin. I don't want to step on you. Please finish up.
No, sure. So this year we're looking to continue our expansion and really find extra avenues of revenue as well. And we're looking to raise about $1 million or so and get it done.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Justin, for the update. One thing I'd encourage everybody to do is that maybe, Justin, you could drop the link to Christmas and Halloween house. It's actually pretty fun to see all of the families like lined up almost around the block in some cases to go in and participate in this experience. And it's just done a great job with it. And yeah, it's nice to have a second shot at it. So we'll have them come back and present here in the following months. All right. Next up, I want to just give a chance to introduce a new founder who's going to present to us either next month or the following month, but just to put her on everyone's radar. And that's Giselle from ILO. And Giselle's, I got a chance to speak with her the other day. She came to us through Max Shapiro and the folks over at Pitchforce, and she's built essentially she's solving one of my biggest pain points, which is being placed on hold and being lost and trying to navigate that terrible customer experience. And Giselle, are you with us? I see your name here. I gotta find you though.
Yeah. Hi
there
guys.
Hi.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if you want to just share just kind of a little bit of a coming soon, just talk about yourself for a couple minutes and what you built, and look forward to having you come give the full presentation next month.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. So the company is called ILO, and we are taking the CRM model for customer service and flipping it on its head. We're realizing that businesses have CRMs, lots of CRMs to deal with customers, and on the consumer end, there is no such tool. It's a black box experience. Where are we going to call? What's the phone number? Who did we talk to? How long are we going to wait on hold? There's just nothing, right? And so we're here to fix that. We have a multi-sided platform. We wait on hold, we replace hold music, we transcribe calls. And then once we're integrated with the enterprise or the BPO, we're able to send digital identities back and forth. I've been working on this for almost 2 years now, and we're raising 2 million. We have companies that are working with us, and we have users that are waiting on our waiting list. So really, really looking forward to speaking with you guys and sharing our product and getting some support. So thank you.
Great. No, thank you so much. And again, there's some cool YouTube videos out there. And if you're curious, I encourage you to learn more before our presentation next month. Yeah, thanks for joining us. The next up, this last, just sort of I guess coming soon, and just brief founder intro is Edmund Wong. Edmund, I got to know through Michael Corwin and our friends down at Sunstone. He's building TrustCard, which is I think is one of the more exciting fintech products that I've heard about, and really it's not too often when you get surprised and like, oh, I can't believe I didn't think of that. And Edmund, why don't you share just a little bit about your background and a little bit about TrustCard, and we'll look forward to having you come give a longer presentation soon.
Sure, that's great. It's great to be here. I'm Edmund Wong, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, angel investor as well, and also mentor and advisor to startups. So after my last exit, I set up a charitable trust, and I was frustrated at charity events that I wasn't able to access it because anything that I donated at the charity event, they asked me to swipe my credit card, and I didn't have a credit card that was tied to my trust funds. And so long story short, had a terrible customer experience with my RIA, with my Fidelity, who's the custodian. Spent a lot of hours and had the back office, staff at the RIA sell down some assets, disperse assets, and eventually, a check got cut and it was sent 25 days later to the charity. And I just thought, just for one transaction, one person, that's like super crazy, right? Like how many customers does my RIA have? How many transactions do they do in a month, right, or a day? And then, but then I met up with my co-founder, Dan Wheeler, who's the CEO of Sunstone Trust and also a bank regulatory and head of fintech and crypto practice for Brian Cave up in the Bay Area. And so he's like, hey, Edmund, for our trust, company, we had an idea for a credit card that provided more visibility and control for trust beneficiaries and trust benefactors, so that they have essentially like a corporate credit card where they have statement of how things are spent, right? And if it's minors, we would kind of block off certain MCC codes or merchant codes where they can't buy alcohol, or they can't spend it in Vegas and casinos, strip clubs, things like that. Obviously, the grandkids would have a terrible time. They wouldn't like that. But anyways, besides the point. So then I looked at the trust industry, and it's like a small industry compared to the $96 trillion wealth management industry, of which in the US is about $24 trillion. And I said, wait a minute, there's a gap. 30% of the wealth management industry are these private banks, and 70% are these independent RIAs that don't have the banking relationships, that can't provide the credit lending facility for their high net worth clients. That private banks do. And so I'm familiar with the private bank side, where they, when their users need to use money, the private banks lend money to the high net worth clients instead of selling down assets and so on and so forth. And so I said, why don't we come up with this card called TrustCard? It provides a liquidity for it's essentially a security-backed line of credit in the form of a high spend credit card that you can spend at any MasterCard outlet, or you can transfer money out and buy a business or buy a boat or buy a plane or whatever if you wanted to. And so essentially we're doing that, but not just for regular securities and bonds, et cetera, also for alternatives. So one of the huge aspects is a lot of high net worth are investing in alternative assets. And so as long as it's securities based, right? Not an actual hard asset, then we can lend on that. So we've created that, and we're building it right now, and there's a lot of demand for it. So currently we're speaking with a few large RIAs. They probably have amongst the three of them, 44 billion assets under management. So they're interested. We have a signed partnership.
And we can't give the full pitch tonight.
No problem.
The coming soon and the coming attraction.
All right. Anyways,
you gotta forgive me for cutting you off just a little bit, but I think that you did a more than adequate job of piquing everyone's interest, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of direct messages and more questions here. So forgive me, but I gotta make sure that the trains are running on time tonight. So if you want to post your contact information as well in the chat, we're going to really look forward to having you give the full presentation next month. And again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We got one more intro that I skipped over here accidentally, and I'm going to let Angelo make that intro, and then we're going to start with our presentations in 2 minutes. We're going to make sure we get rolling on time here. So, Angela, you want to go for it?
Awesome. Happy New Year, everyone. Speaking of making an intro, wanted to introduce two of the founders, Ryan and Hopper. They're the founders of Avenue. I'll let Hopper come on and share briefly a little bit about his company, and hopefully he can tell you a little bit more in the next round and next month. Go right ahead, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angelo. Great to meet everyone. I'm here with Ryan on behalf of Avenue, is basically social commerce and peer-to-peer marketing for the $50 billion US events and live entertainment industry. Started off as a passion project while I was an undergrad. I was working part-time as a bouncer, a bar back, and a promoter, just trying to make some extra cash, and kind of came up with this novel concept of peer-to-peer promotion or micro promotion. I'm incredibly fortunate to have Ryan as my co-founder. He was a bit of a wonderkind, like manager of entertainment at MGM Resorts, scaled their nightlife department from 0 to 30 venues and over 300 employees. We're hard launching now. We have the app on the App Store. 120 venues signed up in New York City waiting to use it, and just did an event at Jay-Z's 40/40 Club. But yeah, very excited to leverage data, AI, and a lot of great technologies with the patentable marketing tech. Really excited to present in the future. Thanks.
Hey, great. Hopper, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoy the presentations. And again, for everybody else, we think it's a great idea to bring everyone and give a chance to get familiar with the group for one session and share a little bit, and then come present the following month when we can. So with that, I actually get to now jump in. We're going to talk with Sam and John from 3D Continuum. And I had the chance, I'm now drawing a blank. I had a note here somewhere on who first introduced us, but we're 3D Continuum is focused on the AI, on the construction industry, and how we're going to apply conversational AI to drive efficiencies and growth. And one of the things that stood out early on from talking with these gentlemen was we already got good ARR, nice early traction. And I don't think you're going to find a more qualified team from an education standpoint. I think they got the big three: Harvard, MIT, and Stanford, all on board. So with that, I'll hand it over. John, I don't know if you're presenting or if Sam is going to go tonight, but it's all yours. I'll enable screen sharing here.
Yeah. Thanks, Garrett. Do you have my voice okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm Sam. I'm the CEO co-founder here at 3D Continuum. I've got John as well. We're going to both take different parts of the presentation, but really excited to share with you what we are working on and some of the tractions in 2022 and what we are up to for this year. So with that, I'm going to just pull up my presentation and start diving.
Sam, the one thing I neglected to cover for the group is that we do 10-minute presentation followed by 10 minutes of Q&A for anyone who's it's their first time. So please hold off on Q&A until the end of the presentation, or you can drop it in the chat window. All right, sorry about that. You go for it now.
Got it. So yeah, thanks for that introduction, Garrett. As Garrett mentioned, I come from an engineering background, primarily in heavy industries, mostly energy and construction and anything around energy infrastructure. And I was fortunate to live and work in 4 different continents, but really what the problem that stood out for me during these years of working in these complex operations was how the data is being used for decision-making. And you might be surprised how multi-billion-dollar decisions are actually based off of tribal knowledge and very preliminary set of data. So with that, I'd like to dive straight into the presentation. As I mentioned earlier, the problem that we are solving is how we can redefine productivity for industrial processes. So most of the industrial companies that rely on really capital intensive operations, unfortunately today, they are struggling with how data flows through their operation day in and day out. These are primarily what I'm talking about, primarily oil and gas, construction, and to some degree mining. Most of the data that gets collected and processed in these industries, unfortunately, never gets used. The research shows that actually the bulk of the data gets tossed away and never monetized or recycled in any shape or form back into the operation. And collectively, these three big industries, they are suffering from lack of proper digital infrastructure to capture this value add from data, which leads to annually $4 trillion of economic loss collectively between these three. So really what we are trying to solve for these industries is simple on the front end, but really complex under the hood. What we provide is a AI-powered platform that transforms underutilized data into actionable insights. And what I mean by underutilized is most of the data that lacks inconsistency, has errors, anomalies, and a lot more. So really the first step for us is how can we improve the quality of data, enrich it, and get it ready for being processed. Unfortunately, most of the data in these industries suffer from a really poor quality to begin with. And the second step is that we have an insight engine that essentially interacts with the person to communicate certain insights that helps these industrial processes to run more efficiently. And really the last layer that we have are a series of analytics that wraps around historical performance, live monitoring of these operations, and certain predictive insights that helps these operational decision makers to course correct if necessary as proactively as possible. As I said, overall, these capital intensive operations collectively contribute to globally to a large portion of the global GDP. Roughly around a quarter of the global GDP relies on these 3-4 sectors. And collectively, they are increasingly moving towards digitalization and use of advanced technologies such as machine learning and AI. So roughly the market for the spending on that front is around $60 billion. Although we started with a big picture in mind and having this kind of common trend among these industries, we are very laser focused where we are studying right now. We are from Bay Area, and maritime commerce plays a significant role in local economy, but also US as a whole. And the upkeep and maintenance of these ports falls on the shoulder of a subsector of construction industry, which is called dredging. It's not a sexy industry, but super critical, mission critical for seamless maritime commerce. It uses significant amount of complex machinery, expensive labor, highly skilled labor. So really for the operational decision makers day in and day out is how can I use data to more effectively utilize these assets. They are really low margin, profit margin operations. So any improvement or gain on their productivity, any percentage movement on their productivity translates significantly to their bottom line. We've had a great success with dredging so far, and I'll let John to continue talking about our traction so far and some of the high-level financials. John?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Garrett, for this introduction to Band of Angels. I'm John, and I'm also a co-founder of 3D Continuum. As Sam said, and talking with our beachhead market, we launched last year, early in the year, kind of version 1 of the product. And we went out and did some custom development in and around that sector. We completed 5 pilots last year. In September, end of September last year, we signed our first enterprise customer. So we are an enterprise, B2B play here. And that is a $35K annualized contract. So that's kind of the starting point. Sam mentioned, sort of the different, he alluded to a couple of the different modules there, but our business model is essentially a 3-tiered business model. It's starts with our historical data module, which is the 35K, moves up to a real-time analytics module, which will currently is around 70,000, and then our predictive analytics module, which would be the combination of the prior two, and give you the predictive insights, which would be at 100,000 or more per annualized year. Initial revenue projections on just this beachhead market does not include anything outside of that. So just on the service area, we predict, we had the 35K last year. We are predicting bringing a few more customers on from the sector, jumping through the next couple of years. And then we expect, depending on what we do in the next couple of years, to be at least cash flow neutral. But we expect to grow from there. And this is, again, it's just the one market that we have here. We want to build a solid business. We want to get a good foothold in here. And although we do have other verticals, as Sam said, this can apply across many verticals: construction, oil and gas, mining. We're even talking with a lot of them, a lot of interest. But we're staying laser focused here. We've got a nice niche and a lot of interest in what we're doing currently. So with that, our current ask, we are going to be doing a priced round here later this year. To date, we've bootstrapped this with internal founded capital. Sam had he was the CTO of a startup prior to this, and had a small exit from there. He's used some of those proceeds to fund us to date. And then leveraged networks and a lot of the other things. So we haven't taken in any outside capital to this point. So we have this in and around, we're doing Safe Note at a 20% discount. And that is, of course, the top is 500K for now. And as I said, we'll be doing a priced round later this year. That's kind of tied to another kind of nugget there that I'll let Sam talk about the program we're in as well. So,
thanks, John. As John mentioned and myself at the beginning of this presentation, we have a big idea. We know the demand is there, and considering the customers buying this product as this difficult economic time shows that the demand for this sort of digital solutions is absolutely there. To support this big vision that we have, we also have an amazing team of non-technical and also technical professionals. You met myself and John. Artan leads our scientific endeavors here at the company. He's a professor of math at Harvard, and I had the pleasure of working with him since college. Michael Turan, one of the leaders in multiple Fortune 50 companies, is leading our growth efforts here. And to add to this great team that we have today, we also were accepted to Techstars earlier or late December. We're really excited. And for the next few months, we're going to have Techstar also next to us as a new team member, hoping to raise awareness about what we are doing and meet some great partners along the way. With that, happy to open the floor for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. I'll kick things off with a first question. If you could go back in your deck to the to your revenue projection.
Yeah.
Would you mind just breaking down, you're gonna do the $500,000 raise now. Could you show us along that timeline when you anticipate raising additional capital? Sounds like end of this year, and roughly how much? And then where you anticipate a break even and profitability happening?
Yeah, so so a couple of questions there. So we anticipate we'll go out with our priced round right after the TechStars program. So that'll be most likely May area, you know. So the total raise between what we have in this this round now, on the interim round, if you will, on the safe, and then what we'll go out with will be about $2.5 million in total. And then we anticipate that we can get to a cash flow break even in 2025. And depending on, as I said earlier, we really want to build the solid foundation and really stay laser focused here. And we think that that'll help us grow the other verticals as we build out this beachhead. That, depending on where we're at in 25, we may go raise like an A round to accelerate the growth from there. But, this is in itself could be, it's a, obviously, as Sam said, it's not a sexy industry in and of itself, but it is a very mission critical business, our industry. And we can certainly support ourselves in just this beachhead alone.
All right. Other questions from the group? Feel free to chime in because I can't see everyone right now.
I have one. This is Joan.
Hi, Joan.
Hi. I'm wondering if you can discuss some of the analytic tools that you use to support your decision analysis, your decision making. My reason for asking is there are a number of companies that already do this. I'm sure you're aware of it. Not necessarily applied to dredging, but applied to other verticals.
Yeah, so the question is what sort of analytics we provide?
Yes, you haven't alluded to the technology, really.
Yeah. So let me go back to the slide that where we have. So the tech stack that we have behind our value proposition is a multi-layer offering. So the first layer is what we call ingestion of multiple data sources and sort of aggregating and unification of these data into a central platform. Although it might look simple, but actually combining, for example, sources of data from sensory information, like hardware sensors, audio, video, and legacy records like handwritten logs, and bring it to a one format.
I understand this. This is standard. This is standard data. This is standard data.
Essentially standardization. Yes.
Yes.
And then the second layer that we do, which essentially our algorithms start to kick in, is what we call curation and enriching data. So what that means is that most of the data that comes in has a lot of anomalies, human error, and inconsistencies. So for example, there should be a number somewhere, but there are a bunch of narratives, or certain data is not recorded. What we do is that we offer suggestions what actually the number should be based off of the big pool of data that we have from many customers. So that gives the customer some range of suggestions how actually this missing data can be filled out.
Also
so
quite standard. Yes.
Yeah. So the third part of it is really kind of the predictive aspect of the work, where we essentially, what we do with this curated data, we are able to map, or in a simple language, we are able to build a picture of their day-to-day operation. What that means is that we are able to show what are the underlying relationship between, for example, a particular crew performing on that day job with a particular machinery, and how these interrelations play into the final outcome. For example, for the dredging industry, the most important KPI for them is the production rate. So we are able to create a holistic picture to show them if you pull this
Okay.
lever, how your production rate is.
Okay, so you do modeling, you do system modeling, and you also probably use some decision analysis. You probably use Monte Carlo
It's a statistical simulation. Yes.
from the industry.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, so this helps me to understand you are an execution play on a specific vertical.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have time for one more question. And then we can move it over to chat questions if there's another one. Anybody want to jump in? I'm looking, I don't see any hands up. Feel free to just shout out if you had a question here, guys. Alrighty, well, there might be a chat question. Sometimes folks reach out directly. Well, really
Sure.
appreciate you guys' time. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Garrett,
much,
for having
Sam and John. And I think I might have some follow-up questions around the 500K raise and how that relates to what you're doing with Techstars down the road, but we'll reach out directly and get some clarity on that one. So
Yeah, for sure.
okay, great.
Thanks,
Well, hey, you guys, have a great night. Please stick around just for a few minutes because questions do pop up in the chat.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're sticking around.
And leave your contact info too, please. John Paglia, where are you? There you are. I see you. You know, it's awesome to have a great team around you because in my case, inevitably, I screw something up in the intro, even though I think I've done it about 100 times now. I think we posted this event, and John was gracious enough to remind me that one of our presenting companies next month, I didn't call on beforehand. So John, would you like to do a brief intro, seeing as how you're the advisor, and we'll give them a chance to introduce themselves to the group, and then we'll jump into our next presentation afterwards.
Happy to do that, Garrett. And don't be so hard on yourself. You look great in that some shirt there. So excellent. Well, you know, it's funny sometimes how you get to know people, how relationships are built. I'm a professor at Pepperdine, and we have the most fundable companies competition. Some of you are probably aware of that. And in the process of doing some diligence on one of the companies that we had going through the competition there, One Health Group, which I think presented here in October, I reached out to someone who they listed as a potential customer of theirs, that being Animal Cloud, and started to poke around their website to find out a little bit more about what they do. I submitted my name for subscription on distribution and update list, and Dylan Jones reached out to me and said, "Hey, what are you doing here? And what's your interest in Animal Cloud?" And so we had a great conversation about pet tech, and got to know Dylan pretty well. Ended up advising Animal Cloud a little bit here for a relatively short period of time. Still am on board, and that's how I got to know Dylan. So Dylan, how about if I turn it over to you? You want to share a few words about Animal Cloud?
Yeah, thanks, John. And that's exactly how it happened. We saw him come through the website, and we were interviewing customers or potential customers, and we got to talk with John. And our company, Animal Cloud, what we do is we're focusing on the adoption, welfare management, and the play and activity, that relationship people have between their pets as part of their family. So we look at all of our clients and our customers as pet parents. And we got to developing our product through research and development that we had been performing with the Department of Defense on their military working dogs. They wanted a life cycle management or a wellness management platform, an analytical platform for their dogs. And we are commercializing that technology into the $100 billion pet industry. So we're really excited to present next month, and happy to be here today. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Dylan, for jumping on with us tonight. And please also just leave any additional information so our members can do a little research on you before you present next month. But now we're going to move on to our second full presenter for the evening, and that's Joe with Rare Goods. Where's Joe? Let's see if I can find. There you are. You're looking good. got the chance to know Joe. Gosh, I want to say it was through Peter Mansfield made the connection for us. I believe Joe. I think that was it initially. And one of the things that I've loved is I've loved watching the progress over the course of, it's not been a full year, but it's been about 7-8 months. And in that time, Joe will elaborate on it. He's created an incredible loyalty and rewards essentially platform and onboarded some major customers like Ohio State University that's and locked in 10 years of recurring revenue through some of these universities, which is, as an early stage investor, is something that I guess it triggers my greed impulse when I see Ohio State paying $250K a year for 10 years for your service. So Joe is really operating at the intersection of NFTs and more physical products, creating loyalty and rewards. And I'm really excited for him to be able to share with the group. So with that, why don't you take it over?
Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet everybody. I'm excited to get going with you. I apologize ahead of time. I'm really in Vegas at the sports licensing and Tate show this weekend in front of 60 different universities. So I have hotel room background, but I wanted to make sure I made time for this. So just to give you a little quick background. So I've been in the sports entertainment business for my entire career, working for NHL hockey teams, pro sports teams. My business, the same thing on the entertainment side. We came together with the idea of building out a loyalty program originally, where we like to say it's better for, instead of points for purchase, it's points for participation. Basically, the idea that is share this, watch this, go to this location and
So
and the whole.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Joe. Do you want me to pull up your deck? Do you have it available to share with the
Oh
group?
yeah, I can share. It's just yeah, no problem.
Yeah, please.
Yep.
I think we've been able to share, so you can pull that up and share while you speak, please.
Of course. Just let me know if I'm just a little worried about my wife being in a hotel. So if you have any issues, just please let. But so the deal with our platform is there's a million loyalty programs out there, but most of them are based around purchase. And so we decided to build something that was really focused on participation. Read this, share this, watch this, go to this location, share this on social media, and earn. And then we started a couple of years ago, we went down a pretty heavy Web3 rabbit hole and decided how could this really work inside a blockchain and utilize NFTs in a way. Again, we don't say NFTs anymore. We call them digital collectibles in my world because NFT is a bad word. But how could we use NFTs and digital collectibles as prizes? Because one of the hardest parts about loyalty programs is what is that prize are you earning towards? We turned that into badging and became like tradable badges inside of our programs. We focus very heavily on the university space, and that's because of our expense. I've worked with 110 colleges and 30 plus pro sports teams. Little side, during COVID, while we're building this technology, we're the guys that did fancutouts.com. So that is part of this company, and I swear that does make sense. But so during COVID, when you saw corporate people in the stands, that was my company. A way to we're bootstrappy guys, and that was a way to raise a bunch of money, but while also earning master service agreements with over 100 universities. And the reason that that's important is even with the programs we're doing, we wrote our contracts in a way we don't have to do RFPs. And when focusing on universities and sports, not having to do with RFPs saves so much time in this process. And so we're seeing that over and over again. We went on the heavy side of NFT programs being crazy, making money. We didn't see the value in it. We knew there was obviously a lot of money that was made, but that wasn't the train that we were jumping on. For us, it was more about focusing on how do we build community with universities, and how do we then turn community into actionable items that allow the university to sell sponsorship on top of what we're doing, as well as a huge data play. This is 100% a CRM for the universities and brands that we work with to really gather information. Some of the holes that we heard from the brands that we work with are two separate areas. One, the student leaves, they don't collect that information. A lot of them are not getting their actual email that they use the rest of their life. They just have the .edu email. So how do you keep engaged with that? And the other the other side of this was the beginning experience for a student. And so we're not only after fans. Everybody thinks these loyalty programs are all about fans, and they are, but we're also utilizing this software for high school students that are just starting their journey. There's an issue called melt, where anywhere from 3 to 10% of the people that say they're coming to a university after they graduate high school don't show up in the fall. So we're utilizing this program as a way to engage them, to make sure that they come up and that they actually show up at the university. And then throughout their experience at the university, they're given merits for doing things like going to football games, going to events that the schools want them to do, just to prove engagement, all with the light at the end of the tunnel is we're actually doing some blockchain verified diplomas with the university to kind of fulfill this program. And so it is a little bit of a 2-track with the university, but it all kind of flows into the same technology. And it just depends on where you are in the life cycle for the university. With that,
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I just want to make sure there's not a lag here. We're still on the same slide. I don't know if you were trying to go forward.
No, I wasn't moving forward. Yeah.
My apologies.
Nope, all good. Through this process, we have landed some pretty big partnerships. And so Polygon is the blockchain that we utilize. We've actually been an investor, or are an investor. This last fall, we got a 500K sale from them. And then Ernst Young, Microsoft, LinkedIn have become partners with ours to help us complete circle of that digital credential. So right now, we have a pilot program going with 5 schools: Ohio State, Utah, Nebraska, and one other one I can't remember. But that right now, when a diploma is actually, when somebody earns that diploma through our program, they will send into their LinkedIn profile, and it'll connect to basically a blue check mark next to their diploma is listed, because LinkedIn is actually moving to a fully blockchain certified experience, where they're trying, will be a while, but they're trying to have everything on in profile be blockchain verified, and diplomas are one of the first things that they're starting with. We're currently the only company working with them to achieve this. And then as I mentioned with some of the schools, we've won a 10-year agreement with Ohio State University, exclusive access to all things blockchain and NFT. And we are working with schools like Kansas, Utah, Nebraska, Rutgers, James Madison. And I'm not kidding when I say we have 30 plus schools that are ready to go. And part of this raise is to build up the bandwidth as to who we're going to grow the company. So our outlook, as I mentioned, we have it's actually up to 6 signed. We signed this month. So this slide I need to update. And on average, the monetization of this is a university pays us anywhere from $75,000 to $250,000 a year to run these types of programs for them. There's different levels based off of some of the service side of this. And on top of that money, we have things like we launch a diploma program. If we launch an NFT program associated with some of their goods and services, then there is additional revenue on top of that. As I mentioned, we've got 30 plus schools that are ready to go. We're also a finalist with the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12 to land video rights with all of the video content coming through that could come through our company. With those video rights, we have a partnership that we are working on inking the deal with DraftKings to utilize that content inside of the platform for monetization.
Need to wrap in about a minute to 2, so we have time for questions, Joe.
I'm sorry. Say that one time.
We got like a minute and a half, so we can get some questions in for you.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So right now, I'm sorry. Let me skip there. This is the outlook. This is on average. Like I said, we're seeing anywhere from $75,000 to $250,000 per school. We think that by the end of the school, we could have over 30 plus schools signed up. And that's just the university market. Raising between $5 million. As I mentioned, the only money in that we've had so far is we did have an angel investor that came in at just around $900,000, and we have a $500,000 safe with Polygon. That's it. Questions?
Well, Joe, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you doing this in the midst of a conference and everything else. But I guess I can tell everyone I was a little worried the train was going to leave the station on the deal. So I asked Joe to come in, even though it was in the midst of his conference week to present. So thanks for doing that. My question is, I'd like you to walk the group through the Ohio State field example and just talk them through a base case. Here's what we did. Here's where the utility was. Here's what people paid, and just show them just soup to nuts, just kind of what happened there, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So from that, basically, Ohio State was ripping up their field, and they were just going to throw it away. We to them and said, we think that this could be a fun collectible, and we're going to add NFTs associated with it as a way to launch part of our NFT loyalty engagement program. And so what we did was we gathered up that turf. I worked with a third-party vendor that helped put it in boxes, and we numbered all of them. We created blockchain certificates of authenticity for every item. So when you get in, you scan a NFC chip that takes you to your one of 1,000 pieces or whatever number you got, and then there's free NFTs associated with that. We also use that as a sweepstakes platform to give tickets to the Ohio State Michigan game this year. It did over $100,000 in a week. With a little bit of a sale with Ohio State to Michigan, if you at all pay attention to college sports, but has continued to sell even through the holidays, and is actually still for sale. Our product has had we'll have another push. It's done another $50,000 after that. So we are part of being at this conference. I'm actually working at the NBA. They every championship and every all game, they actually take those courts, cut them up into pieces, and sell them off as souvenirs. So we're working with the company that does that. I'm signing an exclusive deal with them to handle all of the blockchain certificate of authenticity and to try to put some loyalty stuff into play for the things that we work with.
Please remind the group again, so you're locking in recurring revenue just for access to the platform, and then every time you offer a collectible, there's a revenue share, correct?
That is correct. Every time we offer a collectible, and that is a negotiated price, but it's at the very lowest, we get 30% of that. At the very highest, we get 70%. Depends on the school and how good we're at negotiating that.
Very, very, very good. All right. Other questions from the group? Sorry everyone for leading the witness so much, but sometimes I want to make sure that certain points could come out in the presentation. Go for it.
I did see a question. Polygon paid us cash. So they offered in Polygon. We actually took it in USDC, and then converted it out.
So, hey, Joe, would you mind sharing with us how the whole NFT market kind of changed last few months? Do you see revenue gets impacted? The transaction volume slowed down? I mean, what's the impact?
100%. NFT is said a lot in my presentation, and that is actually, we're not a typical NFT program, and so we're not making a ton of digital collectibles. We're utilizing the blockchain for things like certificates of authenticity for actual memorabilia. And we do have some things associated with, small run items associated with players. And so it is, I'll be honest, this piece of it is a little bit of a gimmick with the physical item associated with it. And a lot of our revenue stream is based around the certificates of authenticity, as well as the diploma programs we do with schools, and the school giving us revenue to do these programs. But yes, we do have seen a turn in NFT sales, to answer your question, in general, and that's why we pivoted away from that being our main focus for our revenue.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions from the group?
Oh, I had a quick question. How much of your 55 million is already committed?
3 to 5 million.
3 to 5 million.
Thank you.
So we just started getting this out right before the holidays, and so we 500K safe from Polygon, and that's it so far.
Great. Thank you.
I saw another question about Ohio State. It is exclusive for the university, anything blockchain related. So people have to come through us, even if they want to do something else blockchain related, and we help it out. So we have exclusivity around all things blockchain, NFT, not just sports, not just football, the entire university.
Yeah. And I think came from our one of our venture partners in my fund, who actually happens to be a former Badger, but he's pretty active with the Schottenstein family that arena's named after. So maybe you connect with Cam after this on chat. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, of course. Wisconsin is in the works as well. Just FYI, Cam.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. I'll brag about Cam for a second. Cam was actually honored at University of Wisconsin just a couple weeks ago at the basketball game. They did a whole award ceremony for him. It was pretty cool. So way to go, Cam.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you. All right, one more. We got time for one more question. Did I miss a chat question, or are we? Come on. I know we got one more question out there.
So in that case, I can ask again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Joe, so you kind of allude something like anything blockchain in the university. So is there a plan? Maybe they will start issuing digital diplomas?
Yeah, that is the plan. So we're working through that process. We're developing a pilot program, start with the online students, and it's not just diplomas, it'll be credentials too, because especially with the online world with them, some of these classes don't actually act as credited classes. So they wanted a credentialing system. So that'll be the pilot test, and then it'll turn into diplomas. Probably not this spring, but we're going to try it for the summer.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this one. If you want to stick around, Joe, please answer questions in the chat just for a little bit and share your contact info. And again, what we'll do at the end of the presentation in the next couple of days, I'm going to get feedback from the group, circle back with the founders, and invite you up for our final deal screening with our Northern California group. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. All right. Where do we go to next? We got Ebrahim. Or we got Remy. Oh, there we go. Everyset. We got the team. There we are. I see it. Can I hear you? Did I lose you? Are you still with me?
No, I'm right here.
Okay, great. Well, I don't know. When did we first meet? Was it like 2 years ago? Was
Yep.
that the pitch event? Is that about right?
I think I won the first Band of Angels event in LA.
I don't think it was a band event, actually. I think I was hosting a separate joint Startup Maverick Pitch Force event, and I think you won like the first ever one. And this is one of the few ones, guys, where I can say that I wanted to get a check-in earlier, and sometimes there are too many deals going, and didn't quite get in at the pre-seed valuation, but I think things are still very attractive relative to the traction that you've had, and I'm just so happy to welcome you back to present to our group. And as Everyset is not only a Pasadena Angels portfolio company, but they're really disrupting the entertainment industry with a whole suite of tools that essentially drive efficiency. I mean, I don't know any other better way to say it. I'm sure you'll do a better job here. So why don't you just take it away? And I look forward to seeing the presentation again and all you've accomplished.
Thanks, Garrett. On that note, Mike Krebs was a panelist or judge, and he ended up taking us into the Pasadena Angels, where we kind of got our seed round. So, it was really.
There you go. Mike swooped on the deal that I found. Damn
it. Yeah, he really did.
All right.
He absolutely did. But excited to meet the group today and reconnect after a couple of years. We have had a pretty fantastic couple of years. Can everyone see my screen? We good here? Fantastic. Let's go into presentation mode. I normally have like 5 to 7 minutes. The 10-minute feels fantastic. But let's get going. My name is Ebrahim Bhaiji, and I'm the founder and CEO of Everyset. We are an HR platform for the entertainment industry. We essentially help specifically background performers get onboarded into our HR platform, where they get prepared for payroll and getting paid. Prior to 2020, 80 to 90% of the film and TV industry operated pretty much as these photos, W-4s, I-9s. Everyone in the industry that's hired below the line is essentially a short-term W-2 employee. They can't be paid. A few of them can be paid as 1099, but majority of them are paid as short-term W-2, meaning they get a W-2 at the end of the year. A very, very complex system that spans multiple departments, lived on paper for 100 years. All right, and it was very hard to break. film production is a place where a lot of money is spent, $100 million within 3 months. But the work environment is relatively outdated. The film technology absolutely, especially the streaming technology, has evolved, but a lot of the hiring practices and the underlying technology to manage employees is very outdated. That stack of papers is a stack of papers from my co-founder's desk. She is a production accountant that worked in the industry previously to this. She was a Big Four accountant. I come from the NFL, where I worked in their production technology department. I also redesigned their Apple TV 4th generation app. Prior to that, I worked in advising startups. I had a small business that I saw a small exit for, but had worked in the film and TV industry for quite a bit in and out of my career. So the solution that we came up with, it's really the centralized system where a studio or a production executive can really go and find all of the information around their employees. And on the production level, it's an easy tool for production managers to onboard people that they're hiring, specifically background actors. In our case right now, we are focused specifically on background actors. I'll kind of get into the market size in a little bit, but our system onboards them, verifies their I-9, times in and out, and then time cards are sent. But our system essentially gets them all the way to getting their time card signed, but then stops at the actual payment. We're not a payroll company, and so we partner with payroll companies to send that data onwards. But a recent review from a project that we just wrapped on Dave season 3, her name is Taryn Skilante. She was a second AD. Really enjoyed working with Everyset, and I can't wait to work with them again. And so here's the kind of the genesis of our business. In 2018, we went to SAG and said, hey, we have this tool to help the entire process go digital. And it took us about a couple years of security approvals back and forth to get it kind of done. In 2020, we were the first company to get that approval. So timing was absolutely perfect, COVID wise for us. In 2021, we took our software to the studios, went through their security approvals. In 2022, this past year, we were the only approved digital product for Disney and Paramount Plus, with CBS Studios being a part of that. And so we are looking to use our advantage in market to capture more of the market in the coming immediate years. From 2020, we took revenues from 73,000 in 2020 to 1.2 million in 2022. Towards the second half of the year in 2022, we hit cash flow positive, which is a really exciting benchmark. Our business model is quite unique to the entertainment industry. In a production, there are a number of shoot days. And so if you can imagine, a Quentin Tarantino film with Al Pacino, there's people on set, they're working for about 30 days. And so our software for our payroll platform is charged on a per day and a per time card basis. We have a separate kind of connected platform where we'll staff the performers, and we charge 12% of their gross wages. And in 2022, we're launching a new product where the tool that we built, we're going to give it to other agencies so that they can book their own people. And a previous investor just kind of raised a question right before this call and said, how much of that revenue is your 2023 forecast? It's only going to be about 5%. So it's a new service item that we're launching, but it's only going to eat up. We only anticipate 5% of the revenue being booked from it. But from our 2.5 million forecast, the majority of it's going to come from our payroll SaaS platform and our staffing platform. The market size for background performers is quite large. It's about $2 billion worldwide. Locally, about $1 billion here just domestically in the US. We're going after $255 billion for our serviceable market, and we're hoping to get to 55 million in the next 3 to 4 years. With the level of growth that we're having, if we can maintain that growth rate, we will absolutely get there. We can expand our tool horizontally since we're essentially a W-2 short-term onboarding platform. We can expand into crew. It does require additional build-outs of technology and additional approvals in the studios. But we plan on doing that as soon as we eat up more of our current market. Have a fantastic team, a number of advisors, some from the Pasadena Angels and a lot from the industry. Our current team is made up of engineers, senior casting directors from our competitors, and people who've been in the industry for a very long time. Our competition is backed by private equity companies, and they've underinvested in R&D in the last 3 to 5 years. They've spent when money was cheap, they ended up buying a bunch of companies, and so we get feedback every single day that the current systems in the industry don't work, and people are looking for new opportunities. And so the timing is really ripe right now, where Central Casting, which is doing $250 million in revenue annually, some of their longest standing clients are looking elsewhere, and we're getting meetings and introductions and pulling some of those clients away, which is really exciting. It obviously, you see a bunch of check boxes on our side and not enough check boxes on theirs. The biggest thing that we're going after is a full SaaS vertical is the way to think about it. From hiring to onboarding to managing time cards, and then to eventually becoming an employer of record. That would be a slam dunk for us, where we can get people paid within 48 hours of working, almost like a gig worker, but it would be W-2 payments, which is unheard of. We are seeking $1 million in capital at an $8.5 million valuation. In June 2022, in mid-year, we received a pretty high 7-figure offer that we highly considered taking. We, with founders had to really think about, do we want to continue onwards? Do we take some chips off the table? And do we help another company grow this out? We found ourselves thinking that everything that we have built is just getting started. The flywheel is just kind of running. So why sell ourselves short? And so we want to offer a portion of the company to you investors at that price. And so that fortunately for us set a nice valuation that we think is both fair and reasonable given kind of the current market and valuations. And so we're hoping to close fast, and we already have about $350K committed. And so we anticipate within the next 30 days having the entire thing filled up. As far as an exit strategy, this, I'm not pitching. This could become absolutely $1 billion company. We're in touch with private equity firms that are keeping a close watch. And as soon as we get closer to that 10 million revenue, we imagine the offers will start to increase pretty dramatically. Our recognition in the industry is growing pretty quickly, and we think by 2025, if interest rates start to come down, we'll probably start to get some really good offers. Here's a quick recap photo of the original pitch, but thank makes and look forward to answering more questions.
That's awesome. Makes me happy. It shows it's it's worth hosting those events and seeing all the progress you made.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you know what? I'm obviously biased, so I'm going to shut up and let other people ask questions here. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Feel free to chime in, guys.
See if there's a chat function here.
I have a question. This is Juan. Very interesting product. How did you come up with the 8.5 million valuation?
That was from the acquisition that we had received in June.
I'll ask a question just while everyone else digests.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the sales cycle, and it seems that you've gotten into Disney, you've gotten into Paramount, but that doesn't make them. It makes you available. It doesn't make you mandatory, right, for all of their productions. Can you talk about how you're reaching out to the other studios and how that goes?
Yeah, absolutely. They're essentially a license to go fishing, and so they put up a giant, security process and legal process for you to get through. They look at your I-9 process and how you're handling all the data around the platform. Very cumbersome process. And once you're through, then you have the clearance to go and work with their productions. And so luckily what we had been doing is building word of mouth referrals and working with really small like indie projects for a number of years. And so the moment we had gotten approval, it was very easy to go to these bigger producers and production managers and let them know. And that's kind of where we're at now, where they're wrapping up previous projects and then their next projects are being planned with us. And so Dave season 3 is a really good example of that. And, we essentially have to go and build up the number of productions per studio. And then what will happen is they'll reach out and try to put a master services agreement in place with us to lock us into probably better pricing, and then almost be referred to every project that gets set up.
Gotcha. And then would you say that like as you onboard, these additional extras, does that provide some level of a moat for you against other competitors, or how does that, does it provide an advantage to you over your peers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's only, there's 200,000 SAG-AFTRA members, and we have about 100,000 in a database right now when we're doing the staffing. And so we've gotten over 50% of the SAG database, but that includes non-union actors. And so when those people work with us, them being used to our system and the productions being used to our system absolutely provides us a moat. It makes people compare the process to paper, which is still a big competitor of ours. There's competitors like central casting, but paper is a huge competitor, probably should be its own vertical in the competitor slide, because some really older accountants that have been in the industry for 30 years prefer that. But just to answer your question, I think sorry, I might have lost track of the question. Sorry, Garrett.
It's okay. I was really just trying to barriers to entry, and you said that you had this technology advantage over your peers in the space. Does onboarding all of these actors provide you with a moat against catching up from a technology standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, ADP cannot just jump into the market. The calculations around the platform and what happens for a union actor changes pretty frequently, and so we maintain a record of that. So these really large, massive payroll companies look at the space and absolutely they see how lucrative it is, and they want to be a part of it, but they can't build enough technology to support it. And so when we come in and build like a super niche vertical SaaS product, it's getting a lot of rave reviews for it.
Got it. All right, any more questions from the group?
Yeah, I have a question. When you approach a big company, obviously like Disney or Paramount or any of the others, is there a single person in the company, or does it depend on the project or the movie or the TV series that they're doing? I'm just trying to get a feel for, how you sell your product into each company, or is it each project?
Great question. And so it's essentially, we have to sell two people. One is a studio, and the studio is more of like a clearance. And so once we're cleared, our actual customers are the line producers, the people who manage the budget of the project. They're the ones who sign our deal. They have a team of people that look at our software, because there's 3 departments that are using the technology. And so those department heads get involved in production accountants, unit production managers, assistant directors. And so they'll look at the product and then make a decision on us, but it's really on a project by project level. Absolutely.
Thanks.
It's time for one more question. All right, hold on. What is the average time of payout for cast currently? You mentioned 48 to 72 hour turnaround is your goal.
The average payout is 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's gotten down to 2 weeks, but when we go back to the competitor slide, this company, EMS, is all paper checks. They're privately held $200 million company. I think they just got acquired. This is mostly paper checks. I don't think they do ACH. There's a concept of float that these payroll companies have become accustomed to, which is if we're shipping out paper checks and you don't deposit your check, and I get an extra week with $100 million in a bank account, in times like this where interest rates are so high, it's pretty lucrative. that also creates a bad user experience. And so that gives us an opportunity to come in, with fintech and digital payments. And so if we can deliver payments faster, that means our performers will choose jobs over choose our jobs over theirs, which I think is also a huge opportunity for us. Yeah. Any other questions?
I lied. We actually do have time for one more. If anyone else wants to jump in. I think you did it. I think you answered. You covered a lot of ground. So hey, that's probably a reason why you won that competition 2 years ago. Good.
Thanks.
Good
You
job.
gave me some pretty good feedback, so I ended up using it.
Awesome. Well, hey, we got one more presentation up. So why don't you stick around, share your contact info for our attendees, and if there are any other questions, I'm sure they'll reach out to you directly.
All right.
All right. Where is Millicent here? I think she is. I think I saw her.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, awesome. Well, let me introduce you real quick to our group. Millicent's one of our fintech experts from Park City Angels, and she's calling in, and she's got an incredible background sitting on the boards of banks and working with Wells Fargo. And when she calls or emails and says, "There's a company I want you to take a look at," I sit up and listen. So with that, she's got one to introduce us to this evening, and really appreciate you making the referral over and for you joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And thanks for taking the time to schedule Identifee. So Identifee is founded, and I'm sure Vram will go over part of this, so Vram and I and the co-founder Kevin worked together at Wells Fargo. They were top sales people for merchant services, and they have a great platform that they've built that I don't want to steal their thunder. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about it, and would love your candid feedback afterwards.
All right. Millicent, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm calling in from Glendale, California. It's 12 miles outside of LA, or a day and a half, depending on traffic. So with that, what I'd like to do is just jump through, present a little bit about Identifee and why we built it, what problems we're solving, and where we're at in our journey. So when you think about Identifee as and I heard this in the beginning, as an execution and scale play in a specific vertical. That specific vertical is financial services. So we're a revenue enablement platform for financial services that saves client-facing reps over 10 hours a week. We wow customers, and we accelerate revenue growth. It was established in 2019 by our head troublemaker, my older sibling, and I'll show you the team here in a second. Our objective is to raise $3 million to scale the company. And at a high level, we're going to spend that money 60% on development or the product to further enhance it, 40% on sales, and then the scales will adjust as we grow. So as I mentioned, here's the head troublemaker, Vegan Ismailyan. He has 20 plus years in the IT space. He's built B2B, B2C, SaaS applications. He's worked with government entities. And as Millicent mentioned, you'll see a common theme here where Kevin, Amy, and David all come from Wells Fargo. David Trotter was brought on a little over 2 months ago. He was the former executive vice president and the national treasury management sales leader at Wells Fargo. He took our organization to #1 in the country, single-handedly responsible for 10% of Wells Fargo's annual revenue. So he's our new chief revenue officer. And then the advisory board, we're very fortunate to have guidance and support from industry leaders such as Millicent. Each of these folks you may or may not recognize, but they fill a specific. It's good. I'm sorry. Is there? Oh, I thought there was a question.
Oh, sorry. Let's get everybody on mute, please.
Yeah, so really fortunate to have support and guidance from these industry leaders. The challenge that we see in the market is that banks and credit unions need better technology to grow deposits and drive revenue. And the reason for that is they're working with outdated systems. They're working on average with 17 different systems, CRM, core, lending, merchant services. That results in hours of manual work. They don't have sufficient visibility across what's happening from one business unit to the next. And that results in a great risk to each of these FIs because there's inconsistent messaging and subjective insights being shared with their clients. So the platform we built performs the work of multiple systems better, faster, and for a fraction of the cost. So what we do is we pull in data from segmented sources and we visualize it and amplify the business case from third parties such as Standard & Poor's, RPMG, and we are finalizing an agreement with one of the 2 large card networks as well. Here's a couple of success stories. One of our first customers was Silicon Valley Bank. We helped one of their customers save $400,000 on their merchant services and helped SVB sign a 3-year extension worth $250,000 per year. And then Great Western Bank, a smaller bank, obviously, we're going from 200 billion in assets to about 14 billion in assets, was acquired earlier last year. They took our training, our bite-sized lessons, and within 90 days saw a 12% increase in revenue and a 400% increase in pipeline. We also got some shout outs from various consulting firms, one of them IT Novarica. They recognized us for our innovative approach to solving these challenges that I mentioned earlier. So we were part of their quarterly FinTech Spotlight in 2022. Here's our revenue journey. We publicly launched in May of 2020, had 2 successful paid pilots with SVB, a 3-year contract with Great Western Bank. We were fortunate enough to stumble upon, again, with the help of Millicent, an ISO that leveraged our training to bolster their professional development. And from there, since then, we've signed California Bank of Commerce. We signed a 3-year extension with SVB worth 7 figures, and we have a lot more going on, namely Comerica. In the last few weeks, we signed a proof of concept as well. Our revenue model, 3-year contracts, recurring revenue. Typically, most customers go into this bucket in the middle, which is access to all of our tools without their data integration. And then in a phased approach, we'll work to get them here. Typically, it takes about 4 weeks to get a company up and running. With the data integration, it takes 8 to 12 weeks. Here are the numbers for the last 2 years. So in 2021, we finished the year with 750,000 in revenue, 2.5 million in 3-year contract value. 22, we ended the year at $900,000, 1.8 million in new contracted. And then here's the projections for this year and so on, and through 25. We project to break even in June of 2025 as well. In terms of market assessment, we're targeting FIs under 100 billion in assets, even though we've garnered interest from some of the most large institutions and ones that you guys are familiar with. So our serviceable obtainable market is based on 1% of spend against their asset size. COVID has increased that budget, so we're seeing banks spend much more than 1% on digital transformation projects and revenue enablement projects. Our go-to-market strategy, which has fared well for us, is not just picking up the phone and calling people we know, although we do have a good connectivity with a lot of decision makers in the industry. It's really getting bulk at bats from various groups or cohorts. Also, we've signed partnerships with a lot of these regional payment associations, such as WestPay, Niche, and others. And we do provide video lessons in collaboration with them and their approval. So we'll move forward in the interest of time. And then the 2 key partnerships, MasterCard is one that we're really excited to announce. They'll be coming in the next few weeks. And then we leverage PortX to help us connect data instead of having to build those connections ourselves. For example, if a company is using Q2, Abrigo for lending, Fiserv, instead of us having to build that connection, we leverage PortX and their centralized integrations to make it easier for us to scale the company until we get to a point where we have enough resources we can link in those points ourselves. And that's it. So I'll pause there, see if there's any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. If you go back to your revenue projection slide, when you're highlighting the contracted revenue, how long is that, for example, that 2.5 million contracted, how long is that paid out over? What's the time frame to
3 years.
Okay, that's, and then are there any underlying assumptions built in that 2.5 million that you'll upsell or upgrade those, or is that exactly what they're signing up for?
It's exactly what these clients have signed up for. So typically what we do, and this is a fair question, we'll go in, we'll find out the immediate need of each FI, whether it's training, whether it's our payment technology, it could be our CRM or business intelligence. We'll get our foot in the door and then grow the TAM from there. So typically it's to minimize, the length of time and the number of people in the room to get through our sales cycle. It's been as short as 3 months. It could be as long as 9 months.
And so if everyone's locked into 3 years, you have no churn so far, correct?
The only churn we had, which didn't have a material impact on our operations, was, let me go back here. Great Western Bank was acquired, and the institution that acquired them discontinued services. However, we had negotiated an upfront payment and had, dedicated resources to that project, so there was no material impact to the revenue that we had gained from that.
Awesome, great. All right, well, other questions? Sorry for dominating. Frank, I'm looking at you. You look like you might have a question. No question, Frank?
No, I don't have a question right now. It's an interesting, service set.
Yeah, and I can show you guys a quick example. So, you guys familiar with account analysis? This is what it typically looks like. It's just a bunch of numbers and letters. Tells you how much you paid for a wire, your earnings credit. What we do is we take that same information and we visualize it, but more importantly, we make it easy for you to digest it and understand what your action item is. So you paid $5,000, here's your earnings credit, here's the fee allocation buckets, right? And then we embed a survey question, and the bank can control this. If it's a hard copy, they reply using a QR code, or they can click through our digital engagement, which could be embedded as a single sign-on or as a standalone. And then we show the customer, look, your payables activity, you had 55 checks going out. According to RPMG that conducts surveys, 39% of your peers are paying by card. Unless you're getting trade discounts, let me introduce you to Millicent, who can tell you the benefits of paying with commercial card, right? Same thing on receivables, checks coming in. There's an impact to your DSO, adopt digital payments. And so it's clear calls to action. All of these reports are done in collaboration with the Adaption Institute. It's a behavioral science institute. That's why it's nice, clean, and easy to follow. So wanted to show you an example of this and what we're doing with SVB and others.
Thank you for that. Other question?
I guess I do have one question. I mean, given how every FI engagement is probably a bit bespoke, right? Because every need is different. Like how scalable is this really? Right.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so when you say bespoke, so we focus on the KPIs of each financial institution. What we've learned in going through this process, I've been with the organization for almost 2 years. Vegan, my older brother, has been doing this since October of 19, is organizations under 100 billion in assets lack the fundamental tools like training, like even a CRM. Believe it or not, most of them are using a spreadsheet with fairy dust. And so that doesn't work well, especially when you're thinking about how do I log customer inquiries or complaints. So this isn't just about the bespoke approach when you're talking about data integration, which costs more, so it's a great revenue stream, it becomes a sticky product. It's really about giving them something to minimize their risk so they don't have the CFPB knocking at their door for not logging customer complaints or inquiries in an organized manner.
Other questions from the group? No, I may have been distracted for a second, so forgive me if you touched on. Did you hit deal terms?
Deal terms, so in terms of 3-year contracts?
Oh, no, the raise, your current raise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I did hit on that. We're looking to raise $3 million. And it's going to be a 60-40 split in terms of where we spend that money, 60% to enhance the product. The product's pretty mature now. And then 40% will go to sales, and then that will tip over the next 12 months to more, to focus on driving sales.
Is this a price round? Do you have a lead yet? Where are you in the?
Yeah, we do have a lead that's committed, half of it. So we have a lot of interest. We have yet to sign the lead term sheet. And we've raised about 700,000 in a safe note. We haven't priced it, but that's kind of where we're at. We offered a safe at a discount.
Okay. And sorry to just be redundant with the questions. Was there a cap on the safe, or was just a discount?
Just a discount. It was a 25% discount, no cap. So now we're looking to do a more formal raise and really gear up. We've gotten nothing but positive responses, and the folks that we've talked to, and bringing on Mr. David Trotter has helped. As you can imagine, he's been in the industry for quite a while now.
Very good. I'm looking around the room trying to see if we got any hands up, or anybody feel free to chime in. It's never easy going last, so I appreciate you doing that tonight. It's tough, but this is a very strong presentation and really impressive what you've accomplished. So
thank you, appreciate it. Really honored to be here. Thank you, Millicent, for bringing this up. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all.
Well, I guess that's the one nice thing about having an angel group and the fund. I can assure you that one of the two for sure will be following up. So that's maybe 2 out of 2. So yeah, appreciate you joining us tonight. And Millicent, again, thank you so much. What I got to do now is I got to if you want to quickly leave your contact info in the chat, and you can stick around for a couple of extra minutes, but then we're going to ask all the founders to jump off so we can talk about you a little bit. Which is, I promise we won't say anything too terrible. At least I won't. Let's see. While we've got everybody on real quick, and we're just giving Vram a chance to leave his contact info. Why don't we just, can you guys say hi real quick? I mean, let's do a little around the room, and just I'm going to call on a handful of people because we want to make sure we're connecting folks and everyone knows who's on the call real quick. So Bill, you want to introduce yourself we got a bunch of new folks on the call real quick. Can you say hi?
Sure. Hi, I'm Bill Shapiro, longtime doctor, anesthesiologist, and about a 5-year investor through the Band of Angels. I don't just invest in medical or life science. In fact, I've gotten some interesting deals through Garrett's SIG, and I think it's one of the better SIGs in the band, but don't tell anybody else in the band that I said that.
Thanks, Bill. Frank, I'm going around where my screens are, so I'm just gonna.
Hi everyone. I'm actually on the East Coast, not from LA. Garrett has graciously allowed me to hang out here with you guys for like the last couple of years, which I've really appreciated. I've been in fintech in payments for a long time as a career.
Frank's pretty modest. Look up Frank. There's not an area of fintech Frank hasn't touched, I don't think. So awesome. John Paglia.
Hey everyone, good to see you tonight. So I'm a finance professor at Pepperdine, and have been involved, as I mentioned earlier, on our Most Fundable Companies initiative. Got to meet Garrett, and am involved in some ventures as an advisor. Garrett, thank you for that opportunity. And have invested in a number of small companies, and sit on a couple public company boards, and do some other advisory for venture and private equity funds, and really love the space and the entrepreneurial spirit that exists in this organization. So Garrett, thanks again for the opportunity.
Oh, that's great to have you on. Let's see. All right, Andrew, welcome. Is this your second time on?
Say that again?
Is this your second time on our call?
It's my second time on. So
okay.
I'm reasonably new to the band, about 6 months. I've made some angel investments over the past decade, and I'm a lawyer trying to be something different. So I'm on here tonight.
Awesome. Well, we welcome all sinners to this group. So even lawyers. Yeah, I'm kidding. All right. I don't want to forget. I think this should work just for anyone who is curious about what we're up to as a fund, separate from the band. I sort of do a monthly newsletter and an update. I just dropped the link in there. If anyone is curious, again, some interesting information, and a lot of our overlapping portfolio companies are covered in there too. So recommend taking a look at that and giving it a read. You get to hear about a lot of the wins that we've had coming out of Southern California over the past few years. Do we have all of our founders off now who were presenters tonight? Because I'm going to keep going around the room, but I would also like to have everyone say which company was their favorite as we go to, and we'll circle back. Everyone else, I think we got founders are off. Oh, yeah, great. So Millicent, you're up next. Besides the one you sponsored, I guess, which is probably near and dear, which one, can you tell a little bit about yourself again and which ones you liked?
Yeah, sure. I have like 20, let's see, I come from 20 years at Wells Fargo on the commercial side, building B2B digital payments and their banking as a service platform. I sit on boards now and advise some early stage founders like Vram. My favorite, and I'm based in Park City, Utah. We used to live in San Francisco, but now we're in Park City, Utah, which is why I have a hat on because it's really cold here right now. So my favorite was probably the digital collectibles company. I already forgot the name.
Okay, it's Rare Goods.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah. And FYI, I'm a Badger as well. I went to Wisconsin.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Badgers are in the house tonight. Thank you for joining us. Tom, are you able to log on to audio and say hello? All right, we'll move on to Tom. You can always chime back in later if you can hear us. Asher?
Yep. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Hey, Milton. My wife is from Wisconsin, so a lot of family went to University of Wisconsin. So.
Oh, good.
Yep. So, thumbs up on that. My son actually went to Ohio State. So.
Okay. My daughter is going to University of Oregon.
So we went back to the West Coast.
Asher, what was your favorite company that you saw this evening?
Well, in terms of favorite, I guess I look at it more in terms of which one. My favorite, I look at always, and which one do I think has the most potential to scale to become a unicorn. And I kind of looked at it as, well, the NFT one has good potential as well. I think the one that I think has the greater potential, if they play their cards right, is, and again I forgot the name, is the company that's working in the entertainment space for the payments and all that.
Everyset.
Yeah. I think they have a tremendous opportunity of disrupting when central casting is still one of the main players that's working and doing the majority of work, and they've been around for bazillion years. That things are broken, and things need to be updated, and brought into the modern age. I mean, that's 19th century technology at this point. So that's definitely got to be brought into the 21st century. So I love things like that, where it's been being done the way it's been done since the 1920s, and now we're in the 2020s. So when you can really do things like that, and it's just a company that has so much of the so much of this, they control so much of the space that you can just totally disrupt them. So that's just potential.
Great. I think they're very strong. Where Margot, you're up next.
Hi, thanks for including me. Garrett, it's good to see you again. Happy New Year, everyone. I worked for a unicorn startup, and now I invest in deep tech companies, and I am on the advisory board of a fintech startup. So in financial literacy, I really liked Everyset as well. They, just for all the reasons that Ashner mentioned, I thought the NFT the rare one was good also, because the founder seems to have good hustle. I wanted to see more where he thinks his revenue mix is going to be in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's just a mea culpa on my side. I mean, I kind of think I threw him out there just from a presentation standpoint a little bit before he was ready, to go tonight. But I was pretty impressed with some of the recent traction, and the sharks were circling. So I'd rather put him out there and have access to the deal than wait too long and have somebody else swoop in for everybody else that's on the rare goods side. But I think we can get some follow up there and get some additional information for the group. Thank you, Margot. Allison, so great to see you. Thank you for joining us after pitching yourself, or at least being a part of a pitch earlier, I believe. For those who remember, Allison's worked in fintech, has had an exit, and worked together at UNEST for a little while, and now with Raise Green. So thank you for joining us, Allison. What did you like? Or tell me about your background, please, too.
Sure, yeah, it's a pleasure always. So I guess I've settled on the title of fractional CXO, for lack of a better one. So I am a COO and head of strategy for Raise Green, which is an amazing organization. You should check out the products we have listed for raises right now. And then I'm also CEO of, I haven't even introed Garrett to this one yet, a deep tech software company that's very exciting. And I'm an investor, and I'm involved with a few different angel investor groups. I really thought that if you're thinking about who's most likely to have short-term success, I also liked the rare, again, I don't know any of the names of these things. Names are not my strong suit, but the NFT company. I think that they have such a good pipeline of already of contracts and things like DraftKings that they're going to be able to leverage into and get visibility really quickly. They've got a lot of high profile, and that's one of the hardest things. It's so hard to rise above the noise these days. So I think that's a big strength.
Yeah, I think that the only challenge I guess
Better name.
Qualify, because the terms were a little unclear with a couple of the companies. I think that really Joe is pushing for a minimum of 15 million posts for rare goods. I don't see him going below that. So I guess that is something to consider. I should have shared with the group.
I think some of them were being cagey about the terms because they're in talks and negotiating term sheets right now. That was my.
No, exactly. And I've been able to sort of peel the onion a little bit there offline. So I just shared with the group that's kind of where rare goods seems to be landing at the moment. Okay, let's see. Mizan, are you with us still?
Yeah, I'm here, Garrett. Sorry, here you go.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. What do you think? Please
Hey,
introduce yourself for everybody.
Hey, Garrett, I'm telling you, I agree with you, Bill. You have one of the most amazing sessions. So I love to drop by to LA SIG. It's a lot more attended than I think some other SIG we have. Anyway, it was lovely, and I agree with that. This NFT stuff, especially for authenticity, is pretty interesting. And also imagine in the future, every diploma you get from the university, there is a blockchain authenticity of your diploma. I think there is something to it. Absolutely, there's a much bigger market compared to the other guys. I mean, the analytics guys, I feel bad. I think this is smart people just tackling such a small market. After 5 years, $6 million revenue, I don't know why they are doing that. But other than that, NFT, the digital authenticity definitely sounded pretty well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyway, I don't know if you shared with your group just a little bit of your background, because we only get you a couple times a year. So tell everybody about yourself for a quick sec.
Yeah, sure. So hi, so I'm an entrepreneur myself, been part of building several companies over the last 22 years. And I joined Band about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and invested in a handful of companies. And definitely I missed the opportunity to invest in UNEST. I always keep my back because of that. It's like, I was excited about that, but somehow I didn't do it. Anyway, learned quite a bit. I initially invested in a lot of diversified. I didn't care, just jumped onto it. And as angel investor, got a little bit mature, I developed my own thesis. So now my thesis is like, I'm focused on something that's really, the way I put it, something has to shake things up and it has to have a big market. And that's my philosophy. So I invested in company like Loopy for on-demand laundries, something, for example, Unest is one of those, but I missed that one. So my focused area is definitely a new way of looking at things and tackling the bigger market. Angel investment is very hard, 5 years. I made some money, I lost so one of the company went down like 2 months ago. And I'm so ashamed I didn't even tell my wife about it yet. So it's pretty hard. We need to be very careful. I mean, guys, it's not about emotion. You have to be so analytical. Unfortunately, we do get emotional sometimes. It's pretty tough game. So that's what I am, and really excited, always looking for opportunities. It's really hard to find good opportunities, without any doubt. You just have to sit and wait and really attend as many meetings as possible. Garrett has a lot of good companies, so that's why I try to stop by here sometime.
Appreciate that. Well, thank you, and I hope to see you next month. Let's see. All right, I just want to get through a couple more folks, and if we already called you and you introduce yourself, would you mind just dropping into the chat window which one was your favorite company, so I can do a little bit of a tally. And I know favorite companies, the most investable, the one that you would like to see advance. That's probably a better way of framing it. And Brandon, are you with us?
Yes, Garrett, how you doing? Thank you.
Hey, great. It's great to have you join us. I got to know Brandon through Lava, actually. And I did not tell Darren to post that message earlier. So please forgive Darren, or I'm not trying to shamelessly plug some ventures all the time on these calls. So, but I did get to know Brandon through some, and through the Lava group, and he's an active a member of a family office and investor. And Brandon, you want to share a little bit more about your background and what you liked?
Yes, the company that I liked the most was Everyset. Just based on my experience in media, I thought it was very kind of a excellent pitch, and the various other aspects that they mentioned were interesting. More about myself, I manage my family's office. We've historically been focused on mainly private equity and real estate, but I've been a founder myself and here in Los Angeles, and I'm connected to a lot of founders, and so I'm getting into the seed stage, the very early stage market. And more about myself. I once co-founded a public radio show on the future of science and technology here in LA. We interviewed most of the entrepreneurs and investors you may have heard of, like Evan Spiegel, Carlos Slim, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm sort of big, long LA type of person. Really happy to be here. Thank you so much, Garrett. Really thought that all the companies were very interesting. Also the rare goods company, and I'd like to learn more about all of them.
Well, awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining, and come back next month. All right, Jason, are you with us still? All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's get Mike Lilly.
Let's see. Unmuting.
All right.
Hey, everyone. I was just going to type in rare goods too. So I joined for rare goods, like I came in late. Just quick background, work at CFO Plans, director for outsourced accounting and finance for primarily venture-backed technology companies. I actually was surprised to see Oregon on there. I went to school there. I did the sports marketing concentration there, and I also did the entrepreneurship concentration as well. And I find that so Joe's pitch was really interesting, but also just his ability to negotiate. I know Oregon's pretty difficult school just to work with, just because of the Nike backing angle. And I think one of the things that stood out in that pitch was how long the contract terms were. Like, he's got a 10-year deal with Ohio State, and for just getting started, I think that's also super impressive, especially as, you just don't really get that off the bat for the most part. Like, most people will put you through a trial, and then you'd re-up in like 1 or 18 months or something like that. And so that, to me, like, that really stood out, especially as like sports kind of continues to evolve to create that fan experience. So I thought, to me, that was my favorite one for sure.
Awesome, thanks. And I should just make sure one thing's clear for the group on that. Part of the secret sauce behind what they built with Rare Goods were the relationships that they formed through the fan cutout business, which is actually underneath the Rare Goods umbrella. So if you remember during COVID, they had all the fan cutouts, the stadiums all over the country. Joe actually seized on that opportunity and created a company and supplied that with those and made millions of dollars in revenue. I think it was like something like 2 or 3 million in a year, just providing cutouts of humans, and was able to get in the door with a lot of these universities through that first business before transitioning, which I don't know. I love a hustler. That's to me, that's a cool sign. Okay, I think we just got a couple left, and Michael, are you with us? Welcome to the group, Michael, if you can hear us. Okay.
Is it Michael Golem?
Yep, Michael Golem.
Oh, hi. Hey guys, just 1 second. Let me turn my camera really quick. 1 second. Sorry, I was just here. Turn the camera. Can you guys see me okay?
Yes.
Hey guys, pleasure to meet everybody. Garrett, thank you so much. I was introduced by a friend through email. My background and my career, I've taken 2 companies public in New York and in London. I was a CFO at several public traded companies, including a $3 billion company in London and $800 million company in New York. CPA, Stanford Business grad. Right now, I'm running a fintech company called Fanvestor, which is equity crowdfunding platform in music and sports, focusing on fractionalization of future earnings and memorabilia. So we're doing many interesting projects with high-profile folks. In the past, we worked with Gigi Khaled, Jonas Brothers, so with Dodgers, Ryan Seacrest, Pollock and Fold. So what else I can tell you? We're based in LA, in New York. Received funding from Stellar Foundation, Formic VC, which is Oculus VR family office. Marty Pompadour, News Corp chairman. Phil Q, who ran several record label companies. Brian Goldberg, Bleacher Report founder, and several others. I personally invested over $3 million into the company. What else I can tell you?
You can tell us what your favorite presenter was tonight that you got to see.
I'm sorry?
Which was your favorite presenting company?
I also, to be honest with you, there's a lot of things we can talk about each company. I agree with the audience that the NFT company stood up for me out of all of them. But again, there are many questions, and I'm brand new here, so I try to be a fly on the wall, not to intervene in your guys' discussion. But I personally also invest. I was at 500 startups in Fund 1 and 2, YC, and some others. So I have experience investing, but right now, relatively focused on my current company, and also supporting right now a public offering for Hyperloop Technologies.
Oh, very cool.
So they're going through spec, and about to file S4 next week. So.
Well, welcome, and I look forward to following up with you via email. Definitely hope you come back. Sounds like
thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Garrett.
Happy to have you. All right, I think that we're almost there. Juan, did you get a chance to tell us what your favorite or what bit about yourself and your company you liked?
No.
Okay,
So a bit about myself, CEO, co-founder of Cyberdyne. We build commerce solutions for the purchase of physical goods in virtual reality. We call it VR commerce, and our go-to-market strategic partner is Visa. I think the best company that I saw was Everyset. I wrote a little note on there as to why. I see a big and urgent problem in that industry, and it's not only the management of casting, but really piqued my interest with the fintech background was payout in 48 to 72 hours. I think that's a very smart move and will be a key differentiator for them. The certification that he talked about and legal aspect of it that took somewhat 2 years to get. I like that. I don't know much about it, but that makes it hard for new competitors to jump in. So I like hard from a competitive standpoint. And the fact that they built this platform in less than $2 million, that shows me the team can execute.
Yes, great summary there. Well, I think with the exception of Hunter, who gets to close things off with his Hunter, please say hi to the group again and then tell us your favorite one, and then we'll wrap it up. No one has to listen to me talk anymore. Everyone will be relieved.
Well, I'm always thankful to be on. Thank you again, Garrett, for being on, having me on here. I was a big fan of both Everyset and the NFT one. I mean, the NFT one in particular stood out to me. Rare Goods, I found it interesting that they were actually branching out and trying to find different verticals outside of just the NFTs that they were, predominantly producing at the beginning there. So even the idea of these diplomas being digitalized is, I see value in it. I would honestly, I kind of want mine in that way. So I found that pretty interesting. And I mean, Everyset, I feel like we touched every positive point on that. Everyset is just, it's a niche. As he said, being able to only raise $2 million and be as productive as they have been is pretty important. And it's very valuable. I see that the team also works together well. And to piggyback off of, was it Juan that mentioned that? Yeah, they're clearly cohesive and being able to produce. So I found them both very interesting. I cannot choose between them, but Rare Goods is closer to me and more near and dear to my heart at the moment.
I think it's very helpful insight, given that you're target demo for core of their offering. So that's good to know. Well, I'm going to do my best to push both of them through with Sonia, because every once in a while we get two companies through to present to the screening. So I think it's pretty damn close between Everyset and Rare Goods. So we'll make the case for both of those companies. And I think that all the companies really did a great job. I was really pretty happy overall. So thank you all very much for coming out tonight. I know sometimes it gets a little long here, but I think it's worthwhile to get everybody's feedback at the end so everyone can know who's on the call and everybody can connect. So yeah, I hope you have a great month, and see you next time.
Pleasure to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.